The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am bets, one and done, picks, preview, with course preview. We got everything for you. And I do want to let everyone know that if you want to get into a draw for $20 DK and maybe use some of that to play in the Pat Mayo Experience Open on DraftKings, all you need to do is smash the like button, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and this tournament has a bizarre history of rewarding guys that are like 400 to 1. So of the 300 to 1 and higher range, give me the guy that you think they can compete this week. I'm going to throw out my options towards the end of the show in the bomb section, but it's a very interesting thing. Jeff, do you have any just initial leans, guys from the very bottom of the list? I'll throw you two. One, your main man, Ben Silverman. Hits fairways, great short game. Number two, Freddie Yaks. Freddie Yaks showed up to Phoenix last week, made the cut. Remember Freddie Yaks?
How do I not remember Freddie Yaks?
Painter's hat, scrambling man. It's, of course, with a lot of short stuff here. So anyway, that's how you get into the draw for 20 DK bucks. There's another way to do it. Leave an iTunes review, a Spotify review, or Stitcher review. We'll announce the winners here in a second from last week, but that is another way you can do it. Say something nice about the show, maybe something nice about Jeff, maybe something mean about Gust. Leave your DraftKings handle, and boom, you're in a draw for that too. Much easier to win the iTunes draw than it is, and you'll want to be subscribed to the Pat Mayo Experience audio feeds because that is where the link drops in the description of the podcast, and eventually you'll be in the video in tomorrow's show with Ben Raza on the DraftKings show. But the link to the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League, up to 3,000 entries this week, Jeff. 3,000.
It's pretty good.
I think
get there quick.
First prize might be like veering on 10K.
I mean, now we're filling up in what, like
12 hours.
Yeah.
It took 12 hours to fill 2,000 seats last week. So maybe it'll be a full 24 hours. But don't think that you can't get in because people still missed the boat last week on this. And it's the best tournament on DraftKings. It's rake free. It's $15, 3 max entry. So hit the description and find the link for that. And maybe you got some money in your account if your DraftKings handle is RM440, Jarmer13, Lefty Clutch, Shad Spotlight. From the podcast review, Trill Crosby ended up being the winner. T. Keegan 9 from the Instagram giveaway, and from the UFC show, Royce Gretzky, potentially nephew of Wayne Gretzky, who was going to be at this tournament, I would assume, like he is every year.
Yeah, of course.
So hot takes on this just to start off with. We'll recap last week in a second, but you don't want to bet this tournament, do you?
This is essentially like if the Desert Classic had designer jeans.
It's an even worse TV watch than the Desert Classic.
Yeah.
'Cause at least like they don't care about the Desert Classic, and like the celebrities are like legit non-celebrities. But this week you have like 8 country music stars who I've never heard of. They get to play their acoustic guitar with Jim Nantz. Fun.
Yes, no, the coverage is annoying, but just there are too many variables here that make it very frustrating. I like to ramp it up for Phoenix. My exposure gets pretty high. It's Super Bowl week. It's fun. But this, you gotta like rein it back down. That's just how it is. You have the 3-course variable. It's almost like the
wind.
No, but I'm saying it's almost like the one that they play in Scotland.
Oh, the Alfred Dunhill?
Yeah, because they're so, when you have the 3 courses and the wind, and there's a lot more luck involved, and who's playing where, when you get that sort of break. And at the Career Builder, the Desert Classic, we don't really have. Yes, it's multiple courses, but I don't think the variables are nearly as high as they are here. You could get caught in some real treacherous positions on your tee sheet.
Boy, you could just be in the ocean. That happens. Remember it happened to John Daly and he took like a 14 or something like that? That's never a good thing. So I do want to give some special shout outs to some big winners of the show, Fantasy National members. If you're not a member of Fantasy National, you're losing. I'll recap what I ended up doing last week, but Roy Frazier, we'll start with him. He came 3rd in the Pat Mayo Experience Open. That's fine and all, but he also he won the $150 3 max, good for $15,000. That's nice.
Pretty good.
So, I mean, Fantasy National members just very quietly won over 30 grand again last week. Although there wasn't the big like $100,000 hit. That hasn't happened yet. That's coming down the pike. I don't know if it's going to be this week because this tournament's stupid. So Roy Frazier won big. Gray Bow 23 won 10K in the Club Pro. David Bennett claimed $3.3 $1,000, so $3,300 on $55 worth of entries. That's a pretty solid ROI. I would take that. That's what you're looking for here. If you just mass enter the Pat Mayo Experience Open to $45 and you win, you could be beating that number this week, Jeff. You excited
I
for
hope
that?
to. I'm scoring very well in the Pat Mayo Open.
I haven't had a big cash yet, but I've cashed every week,
Yeah.
which is just kind of rolling over the money to the next week until I can finally win one big one.
Sure, but still, it's been very kind to me. Your tournament.
Josh Kress threw out the outright on Ricky, $1,500 on DK as well. So that's a nice little combo. I had over 35 people tweet me screenshots of their Ricky Fowler outright, which is a big credit to you. You were on him. Ricky Fowler marked the second guy on the show that I've tipped that I said I was probably going to play and then didn't play. And then that person won. Xander was the other one at Tournament of Champions. So I have a guy like that this week that you'll probably want to get on that I do like him a lot, but probably won't end up betting. So I assume he's going to win. Other ones, BP Snow, member over at Gup's Corner, one of the contributors, won $7K on DraftKings, was in line for a huge day. Things didn't break right for him on Sunday. That's still a gigantic one. And Gup, he was on the show last week twice, and he hit the biggest odds he's ever hit on a bet as he had a parlay of Ricky Fowler and Dustin Johnson. I think it was 131-1. That'll win you some money.
Pre-tournament.
Pre-tournament, yeah. So that's pretty great. KPMC Curry won the PME Open. That was nice. I wish I could win it. I could use the money, as we all could. And I'll do it. Just like I said, over $30,000 for Fantasy National members again.
Great.
You want to get into this now?
No, before we get into it,
Okay.
It was a lot of fun last week. You had mentioned to me, and numbers don't lie, we had our biggest show non-major ever.
Yeah, downloads. And you picked the winner.
So that's good. So there are a lot of new people that think I'm up money on Ricky when I think we'll get into that in a moment. But it was great, to see that. And that event can make fans on Super Bowl week. And I think anybody who dipped their toe in the water for DFS golf for the first time left a much bigger fan of the product. And we had a lot of new listeners. I don't know whether it's because it is a higher profile event to a certain extent.
The higher downloads, it works in conjunction with people having to download the podcast to get the listeners link. It's the whole point of the listeners league is to get more people to download the podcast.
Obviously,
but it's working.
You're always up to something to push numbers.
Oh, of course.
But
if people see it like on Twitter or on Facebook, share that shit, retweet that shit, get the word out on the Pat Mayo Experience. Is all I'll say. And this is the show. It's like the football show that we do with Gus. This is the big show of the week, and then everything else is they're good shows. They're more informational, I would say. This is the fun one.
Okay.
On Saturday. Now, you have to see if this really qualifies as an Ander curse, because Tim cursed Ricky Fowler. Said he was so dialed in that no one was going to catch him. But he was caught. He was passed by Brendan Grace on Sunday. And then Ricky got it all back together. Thank God for the Ander curse. I put down on Brendan Grace once I saw the weather report for Sunday. I was like, you know who's great in real trash weather? Brendan Grace. He was sitting there at 50-1. I cashed him out at 22-1. If I had waited 10 more minutes, I probably could have got him at 30-1. I'm happy I cashed it out. Got my money back for the week and just skated on through and to re-up for this week where the card's just not going to be as big. But walk me through your Sunday with your Ricky Fowler ticket. Up 4. Up 4, up 5.
He was up 5, I think, headed to 11. Honestly. It kind of ruined my day, to be perfectly honest.
I think that if you have the Ricky outright and you didn't hedge and that ended up winning, that is far more fun of a golf viewing experience than him running away and winning by 10 strokes. Because he ended up winning. You still won. And you got all the stress that comes along with it. That's the fun part.
Sure. But it kind of really... it's all it was just an insane roller coaster. Going back to saving par on 3. The whole day was wild. It was wild. I don't even...
You know what I wasn't a fan of? Bubba bogeying 4 of the first 5 holes. Just par them, Bubba, and you're in it.
It was horrifying at times. But okay, I understand why there's still a lot of negativity towards what happened yesterday.
There is no negativity. I'm just going to clear this up for you right now. You're like Tim. When it comes to Ricky, you live your truth. You only see negative things about him. You do. Everyone is super pumped for Ricky. Everyone loves Ricky. You find like the 3 or 4 people that say negative things and you think that's everybody. People love Ricky Fowler and they say very positive things about him.
No.
And people like to tweet it at you because you get triggered by it.
My feed yesterday afternoon was a cesspool.
People like to trigger you about Ricky.
It was a
That's not a consensus about Ricky.
It was a cesspool. Even you take you had 30 people send you like screenshot pictures. I had the same pictures. They said thanks for the winner, and then they proceeded to talk to him the same way they talked to me on Friday about Daniel Berger.
Because people like to trigger you.
No,
they do.
Hold on a second. You're telling
me
taking
the bait.
In those 30 winners, there wasn't 33% of the people that sent me I won on Ricky yesterday followed it up with, I'm paraphrasing, by I'm never gonna bet him again. He's a mental midget loser.
Of all the people that sent me the screenshots, there was one of those in my mentions.
Okay.
So when they send it to you, they like to trigger you.
Anyways, yesterday was a bit of everything, and thank God that he did win. Now that he did, I mean, there are obviously negatives that can't be ignored.
How about this?
Yesterday?
You know what I saw a lot of? Ricky won this. He's over the hump. He's definitely going to win the Masters. Nothing I saw yesterday showed me someone who's going to win the Masters.
No, unless he's 4 back.
Yeah,
like he was last year.
He needs to be chasing.
Like he was last year.
Like we saw it with Rory last year when he went in like very close to the lead, slept on the lead, and he just gagged it. That's going to happen to Ricky at some point.
And Rory was even the group ahead of Ricky. And
he was in the final group.
Ricky was in the final group.
I thought it was Reed and Rory were in the final group, weren't they? And Rory just tanked it to begin with.
Yes, but Rory, like, again on 2, he hit it to like 9 feet for eagle. He almost like albatrossed it like Louis. Missed the putt, and
that was
nothing really ever got going. I get it. There's still Ricky's down 4 playing with a leader. Like, he might be a fun bet. I don't want to talk about the Masters at this moment.
Be grateful that Ricky gained like 13 strokes putting. His putting was
amazing.
He didn't miss anything.
But I didn't. That's a whole. Listen. Let's get there for a moment. Yesterday, there was a bit of everything. As much as people want to, and deservedly so, criticize how he won yesterday, I think a high percentage of PGA players, even good ones, go through what he went through yesterday and still don't end up winning.
And we saw high-end PGA players yesterday all gag. Bubba gagged. Justin Thomas gagged. Kuchar gagged. Trey Mullenix, my main man, he gagged as well.
Yeah, and the one
guy was Brendan Grace because those are optimal Brendan Grace conditions.
So, but I think some of the negative has to get offset by his ability to find a way. Sure. And yeah, no one truly challenged him. And yes, Grace went in the water on 17.
That was a game changer.
And I can poke, but he still couldn't. There were still opportunities to make that up and down.
Sure, and he didn't.
He chipped it into the bunker, much like Ricky had a horrible.
It was very reminiscent of Trey Mullenix at Valero last year, where it's like, oh, just get it up and down and we're good. No, not happening.
Listen, I'm not here to like throw a bed of roses on Ricky.
What is Grace doing hitting driver on 17?
All Ricky really did was it got really tough. He fell behind the 8 ball, and in the end, all he had to do to win the tournament was birdie a very easy 15th hole and a very easy 17th hole.
And hold on. And he won by
10. And he did that. But I think in the end, yes, there are negatives, but there are positives also that he was able to overcome that. And when it was its worst, and there were moment after moment after moment, this is really my main takeaway. He never cried to his caddy. He never cried to himself. He kept his composure the entire time. And in a much different way, I also look at Friday, a round of his that I followed incredibly closely, where the putter was letting him down. He could have shot like a 61 on Friday.
The putter let him down to the extent that he didn't make every 15-foot putt.
Friday was ugly. On Friday, there's like 4-foot misses.
Come on now. I want to look this up.
Friday?
I'm pretty sure he still gained.
Friday.
front nine Friday.
Yeah, go look at what he did like 6 through 10 on Friday and then missed like a 4-footer for birdie on 13.
Yeah, guys miss putts. That happens.
4-footers.
It was happening a lot at this tournament.
My point being is he was missing such easy putts on Friday and he didn't get himself down.
He gained the most. Oh, no, sorry. That was on. Yeah, okay. So second round was his worst putting day. He still gained a stroke putting on the field.
He should have shot a 61 was my point. I'm just saying in the bigger picture, things were not going well for him in terms of scoring early on Friday, but he didn't show any sign of frustration and he just kept his composure and he stuck with what he was doing. And as that round continued, he made every single putt coming home, even birdieing, I think 4 in a row, which could have been 6 in a row if you're following that round closely. I don't know if I ended up making any sense here, but I'm happy that he won. He won a tournament he should have won. I would say I won a lot, so I have to be plus EV on Ricky from last year's disaster.
Yeah, and you won him. You hit him in Scotland. You hit him in Dubai that time. Like every time he's won, I mean, you bet him almost every time he plays. But you've been getting him like 20-1, 25-1 now. That it's paying off.
And we'll see what happens with his lines going forward. But
he didn't drop. He's 22. He remained 22. He went from 25 to 22 at the Masters. He didn't reach that 20 number yet.
He is, and I'm excited he got this early win because this was the win we all thought he would get last year, even when we did our preview shows. At least I did, and that could lift him to more. I would take. I don't cheat me, but I swear to you, you could pick a player in his category, not above.
Hideki?
He will win more. I'm also really excited about Hideki this year, but Ricky's going to win again in 2019. I'm convinced of it. Like I'm incredibly convinced of it.
I want to hear you guarantee a major for Ricky right
No,
now.
I'm not that stupid. But I will say this. And it's used a lot, I feel, when sometimes you talk about football. This is a huge year. He's 30. He's 30. Once upon a time, not too long ago, everything you did until you were 30 was preparing you in pro golf, was preparing you for your post-30 time where you were then supposed to win majors. Now, we've had a handful of really young players just sort of bust on the scene and win huge tournaments. And Ricky, we met so young.
And he won Quail Hollow, and it was like, oh my God, he's Rory.
Yeah, and we expected so much of him that, you meet him so young, he doesn't accomplish. It feels like, even though Ricky's been around, it feels like Ricky's been around so much longer almost than he has, because we met him a lot younger than we normally meet PGA players. And I think it's all still there for him. Everything. He is one of the most well-rounded golfers on the planet.
Agreed.
He is, I would say he's very much like Hideki, except he's an exponentially better putter.
Yeah.
But everything is very consistent. He can hit that driver, and he's hitting it longer.
Yeah, he's hitting it straight, too.
He's hitting it longer.
But everything, there's something about Phoenix, and even for the both of them, Hideki had a really good week. He just couldn't putt. Like, if you go look at his numbers, like tee to green, he was fine. Not as egregious as like Bubba, his tee to green versus his putting, which was just horrible.
Phoenix has a lot of
But the big thing with Ricky is
long irons.
We all expected Ricky to play well in Phoenix. Yes. He plays well there every single year.
That's why I don't think you get
But that was my biggest problem with people projecting him forward. It's like, yeah, we expected him to win here eventually, and he won.
Ricky,
he comes top 5 every year.
Ricky winning in Phoenix doesn't change anything about how you should feel about Ricky.
Yeah, it's like Steve Stricker winning the John Deere Classic.
Yeah,
of course.
How you felt about Ricky on Wednesday shouldn't be really any different today because he won in Phoenix.
That's the only point that I wanted to make.
That is fair.
He's better. He's as good as he
last
was.
week. Ricky at 20-1 or above in Phoenix.
I should
always.
I said I was going to bet it. I didn't bet it. I feel like an idiot.
Even people. I mean, you're not an. I mean, you're just a numbers guy. You take week to week. You'll never disown a golfer.
No.
Even though Twitter will demand. I mean, people wanted us to disown Bryson after the PGA 3-putt.
Yeah. Good thing we didn't.
But he's accurate and he's more than average off the tee. For pound, he's actually quite long off the tee. His irons, specifically long irons, because any of these pros can hit a 7-iron. Not all of them hit the 4s and the 5s as well as Ricky hits them.
Here is the comp that I'll make to Ricky, who he projects as, for me, the type of game that he has and the upside that he probably has more than because he hits it longer. He's Stenson.
Yeah.
He's Stenson who's longer with a better short game.
He's a better putter. He's a better putter.
But Stenson, he has the same, like, similar consistency to Stenson, but Stenson has his tracks where he's just going to go. If it requires you to hit the fairway, Stenson is going to hit the fairway.
Anyways, I think still big year ahead. It's all there. Every facet of the game to me he excels at.
We'll see how he does in Florida because the Players is early this year. Maybe he can win the Players again. Honda is the 2 weeks before. He can go nuts there. He's always played well at Bay Hill. That's a good stretch for him coming in to get hot.
Oh, so you're saying because he's going to win one of those things at like 13-1 at the Masters?
If he wins again, he will drop down into the DJ, Tiger, Spieth range for the Masters. Like he'll pass Bryson because people will just forget about Bryson because people hate his guts.
And I hope, because there was a lot of like super Hideki hype. I hope he did fine.
Like I said, he played incredibly well. The one thing I did want to hit on here is money to be made. And not so much this week because there's no shot link data for 2 of the courses, but and it didn't work for me at Farmers because, again, there was no shot link data for one of them. Desert Classic, for 2 of the courses, there was none. But 3 balls and head-to-heads for me at the Waste Management and the Sony, the last 2 courses we've had, where there's actual data round around, Fantasy National is printing money in these 3 balls. Sometimes you get lucky with Carlos Ortiz, and he has a great back 9, and he birdies the last hole. Well, it wasn't Ryan Ermer, it was someone else.
You'll always need in-game variance on your side.
You always need a bit of luck with some of these things, but they're showing you great value on guys. Like Ortiz, 2.5 to 1 to win that 3 ball. He should have been like, and they were giving Spawn all the credit, and the only reason that Spawn was where he was because he had gained like 8 strokes putting. And you know who's a bad putter? JJ Spawn. So I found that has been a really valuable tool for me, especially in tournament wagering, and even finding some guys like Grace who had just been striking the ball incredibly well for potentially having a comeback. So one of the many features of Fantasy National. It's in the top right corner under the tab. You see live leaderboard. Boom. You can calculate the stats pretty quickly. A few more Phoenix things. Listenberger really let me down, man. Really, I could have won a lot of money on DraftKings. One of those 2 guys made the cut.
Berger way more than List. The Venom, I don't know.
For Berger, well, he 3-putted the final hole to miss the cut. List just went like bogey, bogey, bogey. Okay. It was bad. And List is better than Berger, so you think that Berger could putt from 20 feet and not 3-putt, but here we are. Baroff was right all along.
Sure. I like them both, so I try not to get involved in that Barif battle.
But I'm not giving up on Luke List. This is a part of the whole Luke List experience, is him bogeying par 5s for no reason.
People, never again, Daniel Berger.
Never again, Adam Scott. Then a week later, he comes in second. I'm all in on Adam Scott.
Even Rick, 2 weeks ago, Justin Rose went to Career Builders and left Career Builders, and we were all, even people inside the ropes, were very concerned about his irons, and they're coming up short. Okay, well, he went to the machine, he tinkered it, and he was insane at Torrey Pines and crushed it. Ricky, the new ball, everyone was like, I don't know, the new ball.
And, I mean, there was a big...
So 2 straight weeks.
There was a big course history thing, too. Like, Ricky so rarely plays well at Farmers. Maybe it's because he's a Farmers guy and there's extra obligation. Maybe the course doesn't suit his eye. I don't know what it is. But then we get this week, I bet Finau, and Finau misses 4th consecutive cut in Phoenix. Maybe his no drinking really leads him to not being a party guy, not his atmosphere. But on paper, it's a perfect fit, isn't it, for Finau? You would think?
In many ways. You would think anybody that will pop off the charts at like a place like Riviera should have no problem handling Phoenix.
Yeah, it's weird.
No problem. It's a lot of similarities. There are some easy par 5s like at Riviera, except there's no, unless you get a really bad break under like a jumping Choya, you're not, like you can't, it's a lot harder to make bad numbers.
You're not dead there. I remember on Thursday, Bubba shanked one into the desert, had to take a drop because he was under one, still made par on the par 5 because you can get there in 2. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm going to throw this out here now so people don't forget it, because I was going to forget it. I know that Add-On had said it to us in a chat that we were having, that very similar leaderboard to Valero from last year.
Yeah, I would never have noticed that without his mentioning. And that was early. Especially
double list miscut too, but like Landry was there, Mullenix was there. It's just all the losers that played Valero last year because it was not a strong field. All those guys at the top of the leaderboard just showed up this week and were playing well. What other things do I have here? Did you see the Johnny Miller song from Peter Jacobson? Saturday was brutal.
Bad, yeah.
And they cut away to skiing highlights both days, which was
That's
just
like the
bizarre.
NBC Sports Desk thing.
People own phones. If they really cared about fucking ski, I guarantee you they're keeping up on it. Right? I get that there's a golf skiing rich person crossover. That makes sense. Like they're not cutting away to UFC highlights. But
I guess.
Like, come on.
I mean,
we got people. We have people on the course.
Bernard Longer wears like Bogner gear, and that's like incredibly fancy European ski wear, and like
sure,
nice
listen,
German golf shirts.
I would say the crossover section, like the Venn diagram of people who ski and people who golf, is a huge.
The Venn diagram of people who are members at the nicest country clubs also have chalets. Yes. Where they go skiing.
Yes. I don't need to see skiing highlights. Like, come on.
It might have been, I don't know. Was there like
but the song was horrible. Do you think what is going to be worse? The Jacobson song that we saw is his tribute to Johnny Miller, or someone in the booth on Saturday who just breaking out acoustic guitar to Jim Nance?
That happens.
It happens all the time.
And now it'll be Nance and Romo, and I feel like they even moved like Saturday.
Is it going to be Nance and? Well, Romo's playing, isn't he?
Oh, he should. Yeah, he probably is, right?
Yeah, it'll be Nance and Faldo.
Sorry, wow, Romo.
Listen, you can put Romo in the booth. Why not? He could be calling the shots.
If Faldo like literally got laryngitis and like couldn't work a week, I would love to see them like holler Romo in there. Yes, I don't remember last year because I almost want to say last year they got away from it, but 2 years ago, Nance wasn't even doing his like job in a tower. He was literally in like director's chair. They were doing interviews in like director's chairs, like at a par 3.
I think it's a par 3 16th.
What they do now, like you know,
we got to break down Larry the Cable Guy's swing on Konica Minolta video.
And I haven't had a chance to see it yet because it's more of like an at-home experience type movie to me. But I really do want to see the mule. But those like I don't know how you watch Clint Eastwood do an interview on Pebble Beach Weekend. He literally looks like he's a moment from dying.
Well, he is like 90,
and then
90 years old.
But then you see like the trailers or these new movies, and he like seems pretty like up there and spry. But Saturday afternoon, he'll look like he's a step away from death.
They always show him chipping too. His motion isn't what it once was. I think he has like 3 new hips.
But before we get there, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Gretzky and DJ, and I've long joked that the Pro-Am aspect of this is like the only thing in Wayne Gretzky's sporting life that he probably cares to accomplish anymore. So we'll get our Gretzky shots.
He WD'd last year in the final round. Didn't want to play with Ted Potter. Too intimidated. I got a few more things here, by the way. More news. Denny McCarthy got assessed that 2-stroke penalty with the caddy standing behind him. Same one that dropped Hautong the week before on the European Tour from 5th into T12. Denny got his strokes back because Justin Thomas complained.
Did people who bet Denny McCarthy head-to-heads the day before?
I don't know. I don't know how that worked. I don't know if it
changed?
affected like DraftKings Showdown. I don't know if it affected head-to-heads because they would have cashed the bet because they didn't reverse it until the next day. So I have no idea. I don't know how many people were like playing Denny McCarthy head-to-heads. It's not like he's a well-known commodity on the PGA Tour, but I thought that was good on Justin Thomas.
Yeah, sure. Good on Justin. Hautong probably still feels he's owed like 100 euros. But Ricky was lucky to avoid one too.
They all were. Like it's a really weird rule.
But the Ricky caddy, he jumped away instantly. Well, Denny's was even though it was a weird rule, Denny's was there for an inordinate amount of time. Yeah, but, I don't agree with the rule. But
Denny was just like,
yeah, I don't agree with the rule.
He wasn't set to the ball. He was just
swinging
his club around.
These guys don't need it.
For people that don't know, it's the caddy standing behind you once you address the ball.
Could someone actually be watching this show and unaware of like
Yeah,
That-
man. So, do you know how many people this week have asked me, like, oh, I tweeted out the weather, and we'll get to that in a second for Friday and Saturday. Be like, oh, do I want to stack the early Thursday AM wave with the PM wave? It's like, it's 3 courses. Like, the cut isn't after the 3rd round. This is why people watch the show, so they can get the
Do you
information.
think like Monterey Peninsula private airport sees a spike in their like weather meter online traffic?
No shit. I actually have the link up in my column on
Oh.
DK Playbook right now. If you want to go check out the weather, it's looking a bit dicey for Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Overseas, we
Bad.
got 2 big things. One
3.
was the Bryson. Okay, I got the Bryson comments.
Well, being there, whatever.
You were like pissed about this.
Which part?
With Bryson being like, everything is fine here. I like the course. It's great.
Bryson did a 40. The clip that made its rounds was 40 seconds. The first 20 seconds of it, Bryson was fine. He was dead on. He did what he had to say. The second half of it, Pat, he's no longer talking about the golf course. And to use the quote, Saudi Arabia is amazing, that's preposterous. That is so, I don't know, that bothered me. And that doesn't make me a freaking snowflake, okay? That being anti-Saudi Arabia, like in all this confusion of like, yes, people are so easily becoming snowflakes. Being on the other side of pro or doing things in Saudi Arabia doesn't make one a snowflake.
What did you want him to say? This is horrible. I
No.
hate it here. We never see Bryson again.
Now you're like these people who conflate he had to be negative. He didn't have to be negative. It is so easy to say 30 seconds of vanilla and not come out the other end of it saying Saudi Arabia is amazing. If he wants to say the people I've encountered around the course, I've only been at the facility, they're great people, I'm having a nice time. Watch that clip. The first 20, 25 seconds are totally fine. It's very golf, and building golf is what he's trying to do. The last quarter of it, he starts speaking glowingly of Saudi Arabia.
I think he was just probably trying to seem nice.
Here's the takeaway. I'll give him the benefit because I still wanted him to win. I wanted him to shoot a Saturday 60 and go off where Haotong went off. So I'll own that. My real major fall away from it is he really doesn't. He's 17 hours a day on the playing golf or doing range golf calculations. He is not getting engaged like a Ricky, like a Spieth, like a Rahm. I don't think he has a serious he doesn't have a clue about anything that isn't golf related. And that is his grind. I'd still, though, to think those comments weren't disappointing. Come on. You could speak and do vanilla wording and not come out the end like he came out. Lucky for Bryson, there's a guy named Sergio.
So, okay, what happened with the one clip finally surfaced of Sergio banging his club in the bunker
The day before.
Yeah, which I have done numerous times. I've
Yeah.
also broken rakes at courses too because I get so frustrated. So I empathize with Sergio's fire.
You probably love Sergio Garcia now.
I mean,
based on-
I like Sergio anyway.
No, but
I don't like him destroying the greens. I don't like that.
I was curious because you love every bad guy move.
I do love a bad guy move.
and it moves guys up in your anything.
I like the bunker freak out because you're just hitting some sand rub, but now you're destroying the course. Other people got to play on that course.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. People involved who are there believe he should be kicked off the European Tour for the entire year.
Okay,
people
so-
that actually saw it.
Okay, so Geoff Shackelford, if people know Geoff Shackelford, used to be the co-host of the Shack House on the Ringer with House. By the way, tweet at House from DC. Get me on there. I'm friends with House. Well, let's get me on his new podcast. Really expose the brand.
Yeah, why
with the
not?
Pat Mayo. They're looking for people.
Yeah.
I don't need to be on every week, but if I can go on and hype
They
up our
showed
show.
us a lot of love post Danny Willett, I remember,
Oh, yeah?
from the house.
So Geoff Shackelford suggested that they start with a year-long ban for Sergio Garcia. Now, he is not being fined and he is not being suspended whatsoever. Because if you suspend him a year from the European Tour, he just plays on the PGA Tour. And he makes more money. Like, that would be just ridiculous. And Sergio is like the linchpin of 2 of these tournaments on the European Tour to have anyone go to them. So you can't suspend the guy. And what if they suspend him for a month? What does he do? Just be like, well, I'm just not playing for a month. Perfect. Like, what do you do? Nothing.
I don't know what you're supposed to do, but what has been done isn't enough. It isn't enough.
Well, maybe he's anti-Saudi Arabia. And this was him taking it out.
Sergio built back so much goodwill, like within the golf legacy community, and he's just pissing it away, man. What could have, and it was Patrick Reed was in the group behind him. Patrick Reed apparently was the first one to report these damaged greens. I mean, he's an honorary life member
of the European Tour now.
The list of, it's like, you see like
Jack,
like Tom Watson,
Patrick Reed, and there's just like some other guy too. It's like, all right. Hey, he legit goes over. He plays more Euro events than Rory does now.
No, of course. And the only footage of anything is like a still shot of like a very close huddled conversation between Keith Pelly, maybe a tournament director, and Sergio's agent. Where is the tapes? Because if someone shoots a 10, we get every shot. If someone shoots an eagle, there's nothing to miss. All the good and all the very bad gets seen. How, like, were the tapes destroyed out of, like, let's say like a royal prince owns that golf course and they don't want like the footage of Sergio. No, not that he wants to see it, but they'll kill Sergio if they see it. So like the tapes were burned to save Sergio's head.
I think it's the other way around, that the European Tour doesn't, like, yeah, there's bad holes. You have footage of it. There's great shots. You have footage of it. Someone makes a 15. You have footage of it. What's the upside to releasing, if you're the European Tour, what's the upside to release any of that footage? There's none. You don't want to make Sergio look bad. You don't want to make your tour look bad. It's just a no-win situation. Pretend like it didn't happen is what they're trying to do, which is probably the right move.
I don't know. On another note, guys like Dustin, guys like Brooks, I watched interviews with them. None of them said Saudi Arabia is amazing.
In fairness, neither of those two ever say anything anyway.
But still.
Bryson was just probably trying to be gregarious. Hey, this
Sure.
is great. Thanks for having
Bryson
me.
probably
I'm
doesn't
having a
even know
great
where.
time.
Yeah, he probably doesn't know where. It could be like, yes, fine. He could be anywhere in the world. He's oblivious to everything but the science of his mechanics. That is fair. Who's here this week, though? I think we have Reed and we have Dustin. They're going to be asked about it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, people don't ask Patrick Reed anything anyway because no one likes talking to him, and Dustin doesn't say anything. So you're probably not going to get a whole lot from those two.
I think you're gonna find. I think
Reed might have something to say about it.
Again,
Dustin will not have anything to say about it.
Dustin is. You could see Dustin in the video where Sergio's throwing a tantrum. Dustin's trying to like line up his putt, and he's
unfazed by the entire thing.
Doesn't even. And Sergio's like, doing a Spanish swearing, and Dustin's like, yeah, not even. The best joke I saw, I think, was your buddy Ulrich when this whole like Danny McCarthy thing was blowing up, or saying how Dustin and it's Austin, right? His brother?
Yeah.
They're like screwed. Like he'll for sure get caught. Like Dustin's for sure gonna like be positioned over the ball with Austin behind him at some point.
Well, the big thing about that rule is I think Ricky had talked about like the growing the game aspect of it. I think that's what he said about like loosening the rule. But like, how many people are playing with caddies to begin with?
Yeah. That's a good point.
You ready to talk Pebble?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, 3 courses: Monterey Peninsula, Spyglass Hill, Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach is the home course. It is 6,800 yards. It's a shade over. There are 4 par 4s, 4 par 3s. The shortest par 3 on tour, 160 yards. The number 7 down the hill, always a fun hole. The U.S. Open will be held at Pebble Beach this year. So I saw an interaction with Kenny Kim. Shout out to Kenny, and a caddy from Pebble Beach. And what the caddy from Pebble Beach said was the USGA has already come in and started some of the preparation for the US Open, which they did not do until after this tournament in 2010. So some of the fairway, the rough is already thicker on that one course. Spyglass and Monterey remain relatively unchanged. So there's more rough, thicker rough at Pebble Beach, and some of the fairways are not quite so wide anymore. And this was the course where people hit over 70% of the fairways. A lot of clubbing down, so the accuracy number shouldn't be too out of control. But if you veer off the short grass, you can be a whole lot of trouble. And it's going to be windy on Friday and Saturday. At least that's what it's projected to be right now. It's going to be rainy at least this point of the week, which makes it even harder to hit out of the rough. These are the smallest greens on the PGA Tour. This is setting up to be an absolute shit show. And I'm going to take a few stabs pre-tournament, but I think this is something like I hit Ted Potter Jr. in play last year. Because if guys are playing Monterey, listen, I'll take the money. If you're playing Monterey or you're playing Spyglass where there are no cameras, there are no shot link, the odds are real slow to update if you're not playing on Pebble Beach. Because they gear it like they did with Career Builder, where all the good guys will play Pebble Beach on Saturday so they can all be on CBS and get their screen time. Where if someone's going and having like a heat around like Potter had at Monterey last year, the books don't even notice until it's too late. If you're paying attention, you can really capitalize on this. So I think this is one that you want to play in play, but I also do think it's a tournament where you really want to dial back exposure.
Oh, as I mentioned off the top, exposure's dial back. I'll miss so much where like I don't even want to get involved in some things till Sunday, where I feel like it becomes a normal tournament for the first time.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, only shot link data at Pebble Beach. So if you're going to play head-to-heads or two balls, unless like you're not going to be able to watch it. So unless you're on location, being able to see everybody, Pebble Beach has the shot link. So if you do want to play head-to-heads, see the guys that play Pebble Beach and then play them the next day on one of the courses so you can get a sense of who's actually striking the ball well.
Just be careful here.
Yeah,
because I was a very, once upon a time, before I really had my feet wet in this thing, you got like some mavens. Like I remember like, I don't know, like some like exponentially better golfer laying like an insane price on that player to beat like Kenny Duke at one of these courses, and it didn't go well. So yeah, sure, be careful. Head-to-heads daily, certainly. I mean, you can find advantages, but it all seems.
So the problem is, all these courses are super easy if there's no wind, but if there is wind, they're all super hard. So it's just a very, very difficult tournament to really wrap your mind around. So it's going to be a low exposure week for me. Stats wise, there's three really short courses. So driving distance means basically absolutely nothing. You want somewhat accurate players. Like Dustin can club down. Dustin always plays well here. He's won here twice. He's finished inside the top 5 like another 6 times. Phil's won here 4 times. He has 10 top 10s and 22 career starts at this course. Spieth has never finished worse than T22 at this course. Jason Day tends to play well here every year. Brant Snedeker's won twice. So what you're really looking for is guys that can hit wedges really well and guys that can scramble from greenside because the greens are so small, you're going to be in the shit. And if that's the case, you need to be able to get yourself up and down.
There's somebody who I think I like.
Okay, so
let's too low.
Let's talk about the odds then. So Dustin is the overwhelming favorite coming over from the Middle East,
which he didn't do before.
No, he usually plays Torrey Pines every year. This is the first year I think he's been in the Middle East. He does like Middle East, Torrey Pines, week off, plays this. Now he went Middle East, and is coming back here. So him and Reed are both coming. He's 6-1, Day's 9-1. Cooch is 20, Spieth is 22. Finau and Fleetwood are also 22. First time we're seeing Tommy this year on the PGA Tour. Phil, Cantlay, 25. Reevy, 28. Reed, 30. Casey, Scott, 33. Then you have Grace and Lowry at 35-1. Those are your guys at the top of the board. I have bet 2 of them, and one of them's a half bet because the numbers are all over the place this week, depending on what book you use. Like Reevy is at 28. I really like Reevy this week. He's 28 on 365. He's 33 on Bodog right now. He was the guy that I was talking about that I think his odds are just too high that I'm not going to bet him, but I really like Chez Reavie this week. He really turned it on last week over the weekend. He was second at this tournament last year, played really well at the Desert Classic played really well at Sony, made the cut at Desert Classic it's just a really weird spot for him, but I bet Spieth and I bet Phil 22 and 25. Thoughts?
I want to say of that top Dustin last year, I feel like I didn't even play it. Sorry. I had to like rub my face. So Last year I didn't even play a card here. I think I just like
You bet
put
Dustin.
every chip in the middle on Dustin. Is Pebble. I love any of the Wayne factors. And that it was a tough 2-week stretch here last year, Pat, when Ricky blew his 54-hole lead and then Dustin blew his 54-hole lead.
And then we didn't bet Bubba at Riviera.
Yeah, and then Cantley and Finau in
And
Riviera.
Cam Smith.
In Riviera, and Bubba stormed them. And that just reminds me, the par fives that Finau didn't take advantage of Riviera last year. Criminal. But Dustin, it's an unbettable number.
With this field. Like, this is the same number he had at the Canadian Open last
If
year.
it was-
against, like,
yeah.
losers.
If it was 4 days at Pebble, I would maybe be more inclined. If everyone is sort of maybe working off the same variables.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, I'm not saying I would play it, but I would be far more inclined. Of the, what'd you mention, 9 guys?
yeah.
Is it weird that Fleetwood sticks out to me?
It shouldn't. Especially if it's windy and it's rainy. Like, there's a path that you can play this where you bet Fleetwood and Grace and go on your way.
I mean, Grace had a nice, because he got off to a little. He wasn't around in Torrey like where it really mattered, but he was playing quite well there, and we had spoke about him as a.
He was a late add to the Phoenix field. Like, he missed the cut at Torrey Pines, and then just felt like I'm playing okay. I want to get back in the game here. I want to enter in Phoenix, and he did, and he ended up coming in
And
second.
what did he was like 101 probably?
Last week?
Yeah.
I don't know, probably 80.
I know at Torrey he was 80 because I remember we talked about that in the show.
I don't think that he had odds when we did the show last week.
Okay, that's
because he
probably
was the
why.
late entry into the field.
Sure. I don't think Cantley can scramble enough here.
He rates out really well, but he and Finau both rate out really well just because of the short iron play. But the reason I went back Spieth and I backed Phil, the big thing with Spieth is he had no business playing well at Torrey Pines. Like he wasn't even playing well and still did okay. And this is a tournament that really mitigates what you do off the tee. Like, just because you're Dustin Johnson or Cameron Champ and you hit it 350, it's not that big of a deal here. Like, guys who hit it short can compete. And as long as Spieth and Phil, for that matter, aren't spraying it everywhere, it becomes wedges, it becomes putting, and it becomes short game. That's why these guys always play well here, that I'm on them.
And I will give this to you, and I think we even spoke about it after the Torrey show, that I was impressed with Spieth. When you see a very good player making those types of birdies and what's holding him back is
driving.
Or are you just a few big numbers? To me, that's literally less than an inch away correction from being gone. Because we're seeing the good stuff, the bad can be cleaned. And to your point that he shouldn't have been at Torrey is a very great one. Because he played horrible and missed the cut in Hawaii. And it was off of his last 2 events before that was before Torrey, where I want to say Mayakoba and Hawaii, where
he was bad.
I'll use the joke as resort courses, and he missed the cut. And then he went to Torrey Pines, a very difficult, demanding, long penal layout, and he looked very strong. So going from Torrey to Pebble, he's going to feel like when you play video games and you're like playing difficult and you just want to score 12 goals, you like knock it down to easy. So you could be onto something.
He's won here. He has 3 top 10s, and he has, like I said, in the past 6 years, no finish worse than T22. If there's a spot for him to come back and really put on a nice performance, it's here. I worry about Day. I'm not going to bet him at 9-1, but he has the perfect game. You got to be able to scramble here, just because it's so like the greens are so tiny.
So when he hits it from the rough to like 16 feet and still saves, and he has to save par all week.
It does.
Yeah, that's when he wins.
Kuchar's really interesting because he could have won again yesterday.
Crazy. What's annoying is on our...
If he had won, he gets 3 wins in 4 starts. And it's like it did because it's Mayakoba, it's Phoenix, and it's Sony Open. It's like they don't even count. It's weird.
I remember we did our season preview not too long ago, and I had talked about it, and I felt you agreed that maybe this is the year he could finally like break through at Augusta, and he was still kind of being like a forgotten older guy. Now that's like gone.
I don't know
like
what his number
back.
is. What's his number?
I guarantee you it's
50?
like down. Yeah, it's shorter than like what it was when we broke
50's
about
not
it.
bad.
Fine. On top of that, though, I'm excited. Do you remember what I was doing over Christmas? I need Cameron Champ to make the Masters because I can win a lot of money when Matt Kuchar beats him at the Masters. I put that out there over the holidays when people were like this love affair with like Champ when we were doing our season previews.
Yeah, before they knew he was Andrew cursed.
So I could see that. Phil, I'm not.
This is a night. I just saw this as a buy low opportunity on Phil.
Are you buying low?
Yeah, I am. I only put in a half wager on Phil because I think this number could drift back to 30. Then I'll bet the other half on the 30. But I want to get the 25 locked in right away. He had one really bad round in Phoenix, and it was horrible. It's like the worst round Phil has played in some time. But he was great in the first round. He was T2 at the Desert Classic. And this is a course where he was second here last year. Like this is
he was second last year?
Yeah. He tied with Dustin, Shez. There was 4 of them tied at T2.
Was it a real second?
It was Day, Phil, Shez, and Dustin tied for second.
Only because it's Phil. Or sorry, only because he's such an elite player. I'm just curious about something. Was there ever a moment where we thought Phil can win? Win?
He was in the second to last group.
Okay.
But it was Dustin and Potter were tied.
I'll be honest. I don't think that number's high enough for Phil Mickelson when you have like Dustin Johnson in the field. That's my opinion. I'd rather bet Shez.
That's interesting. I might end up on Shez anyway because I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss it. But the problem I have with Shez, he's 28 to 1 on this one. Like I said, I saw him at 33.
I can't swallow
he has
that
better
either.
numbers than Patrick Reed and Paul Casey and Adam Scott and Brendan Grace. Like, do we think that the form is that good that he's better than those guys?
No, do I believe he would?
But he's the perfect suit for this course. He hits it straight. He's hitting his irons well, and he scores well on these short par 4s.
It's probably still low for me. I like I said, in these like first 11 names that you mentioned, I don't appreciate the lack of course history, but to me, Fleetwood. And I say that because we saw Tommy when he first came over here, coming to tracks that before there was the love affair with Tommy that there is now. He'd show up at tracks for the first time, and we'd talk about it, and it didn't make a freaking difference to how he scored those weeks, ever.
Shout out to Kenny on this one too. Americans win this event a lot. I think the last like international to win was Graham McDowell at the US Open in 2010. And this course, well, it might be a bit harder than normal, isn't going to be up to US Open standards.
I'm happy you brought up Kenny for a second time. I was going to mention it when you brought it up the first time, but now you did it a second time. I'm just going to take a minute because I felt bad on the last couple shows. I've been meaning to get this out there. At, Kendo VT?
Mm-hmm.
He's a machine. The type of, and I always find his information useful, but now that he's kind of like getting into betting and is kind of like incorporating, he is a non-stop animal of just hunting for information and putting out these nuggets that you can make of him what you may. But I've been meaning for a couple weeks now to give him a shout out on the show for just like his info diving.
Yeah, it's great. Great showdown stuff too, like in-play wagering. And just a lot of good trends. But yeah, Americans have really succeeded at this course over the years. Anyone else from that range you want to talk about? Besides Fleet?
Is there going to be like now that I'm trying to think of a fancy way to say it, but I'll just use normal English. Now that Ricky won, like, how about Finau?
Little Ricky, Big Ricky, back to back?
Yeah.
That'd be nice for you. I'm not betting him at 20. I bet him last week at a course that I thought was much better suited. Watch him come out and win this week, but no thanks. I'll take Spieth for the same number. At this course, I'll take Spieth.
Let's hope for like a horrible Finau week, and maybe we can get like what odd are we getting at Riviera next week? 16 probably, right?
I was going to say, it depends on who's playing, like the entire field. Like Tiger's in the field, so that pushes everyone down a bit.
Rory's playing.
Rory and Tiger will play, so they'll be like 10 and 12 to 1.
Who else?
Dustin will
who's
be
the
10.
favorite?
Dustin's the favorite.
And who else is coming?
I don't know. But those three alone will push Finau to like 22. He'll probably be 22 again. And you'll have Cantlay in the field, and he'll be 25. But
Bubba will be like 28.
25? Bubba coming
the new
off
putter looks
coming
good.
off a T5. Yeah, the new putter really worked out for Bubba. Thanks.
He was so... It's amazing he scored how well as he scored.
He led the field in strokes gained tee to green. He led the field in strokes gained off the tee, and he was 9th in approach.
He's like, he was tied for the lead on Tuesday afternoon. Or Friday afternoon. I don't think he made a putt over 6 feet
He
yet
didn't.
in the week.
He was either sticking it and making birdie or 2 putting for par.
And
that was
sometimes, because there are opportunities here to make eagles, two like easy birdies, but like a lot of them come with like 68-foot eagle putts that you want.
He wasn't even
professional
close
lags.
on those.
Watching him lag,
Which is usually a huge strength of his game, his
his
lag
three-putt
putting.
avoidance, and I mean but watching him lagging those like 65-foot eagle looks were painful.
Next range, like I mentioned, you got Reed, Casey, Scott. We'll go all the way down to the 100 to 1s here, and we'll just kind of pick and choose who we want to talk about. Sung Jae Im. Let's get into it.
Do it.
He's 45 to 1 on 365. On Will Hill, you said he was 40. On Bodog and Bovada, he's 50. I bet the 50. I'm being suckered in this week. This feels like Sung Jae Im chalk week that goes horribly wrong, but I'll make up my mind on the DraftKings side of things a little bit later on in the week, but I want to be in on the 50.
I bet the 50. My first look at the board, I was disappointed because I thought it was low. I was hoping for more. Like
The books are savvy.
Yes.
To what's going on with old Sungjae.
He plays a mean game. He's 20 years old. How would he hold up on Pebble if he's put in the dogfight versus Spieth versus Dustin?
I don't worry about that with anyone at this course. We've seen too many just giant
Vaughn
Taylor and Ted Potter. Ted Potter outduels Dustin.
You're absolutely right.
That's why I've actually taken a few stabs down the board.
I'll be honest, and I know the number's short to begin with, but to me, what you just said gives Ches like 1.5, 2 in my book.
Yeah, Ches might be too good.
Because I've never seen him. Like the only memory I have of him in a real, like losing to Woodland in the playoff, but I don't have any memory of Ches like with a big guy.
Oh, you don't remember him winning the Canadian Open over, I'm guessing, Mike Weir?
No, I don't. But yeah, no, I love him. He does everything well. He can attack when he's attacking when other people are scrambling, and I'm really excited.
He has a really good short game too, which is really nice to see.
But I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'd love to cash this. But I'm telling you, people right now,
Heritage.
Valspar,
Heritage. But this is one of those types of courses.
If he 3 putts on Sunday and misses the cut, I don't have a problem with it one bit because I'll take my 75 to 1 at the next time. I like him too much, I think.
I should mention the cut rules for this event. Everyone gets 54 holes. They play each of the 3 courses once, and it's top 60 in ties make the cut. There's 156 guys in this field, so.
Really excited about Sanjay. I'm also, you're going to like scoff at me.
Let me guess.
No, you know it. You know it. Come on.
Which weirdo? Oh, Bo Hossler, 80 to 1?
No, we're below.
Rafa?
No, there's only one guy. No, come on. You're not going to be like, you haven't found it?
No.
I'm actually really disappointed.
Oh my God, you're not betting Matthew Fitzpatrick, are you?
I'm looking at it.
Have fun with that.
I can't believe that took you that long to identify.
I didn't realize you were just scumming the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, well, let's bet Matthew Fitzpatrick at 40 to 1 when he should be like 120 to 1. Yeah.
I was going to ask you what number do you think he should be? You actually think he should be 120?
Who is Matthew Fitzpatrick markedly better than Kyle Stanley? Who is 125 to 1? Like if Kyle Stanley played exclusively on the European Tour and Kyle Stanley went to the Nordia Masters, the Turkish Open, we wouldn't think he's a lot better?
Matthew's been playing well.
Great. I'll give you a better bet. 80 to 1 Russell Henley. Really struck the ball well last week.
He did, and he loves a wind.
He loves a wind. I don't like the POA greens for him. He always plays better on Bermuda. Same thing with Kuchar. Always putts better on Bermuda, but he has that win at the Honda Classic. He has the win at Sony. Both shorter courses that rely on accuracy, good ball striking. And if it gets windy, we know we can play. I like Russell Henley. I liked what I saw from him in Phoenix last week. I also like what I saw from Charlie Hoffman last week.
I was going to
all of a sudden, Charlie's back.
Our boy G-Mac shows up to lend his support, and Charlie's flirting with T5s and 10s. At least for a couple days.
Charlie is 100 to 1. I actually did take the each way on the 80 with Henley, though.
I need to think about this one a little more. But he really caught my eye here last year with Phil. I think he was playing with Phil. And he actually caught my eye through these next run of events. And that's Kevin Na.
Na, statistically, rates out as one of the better players in this field. And
I might have to do this.
And there's a big thing with Kevin Na this week. Do you know what it is?
There's a baby?
No, there's no baby. what happens at this tournament because of all the pro-am?
Oh, it's slow AF to begin
it's
with?
like they're like 8-hour rounds. It's like Kevin Na wheelhouse. Him and Cantlay are like the core players this week. They can take all the fucking time they want.
I remember being very impressed by Kevin Na here last year, and he went on to play well at Riviera, I want to say. And 90-1, I think, is a pretty good number.
And he did win last year, too. He finally got that monkey off of his back. What did Na do last week? Because he's been hurt.
But he played last week.
He made the cut.
Yeah, he played the weekend.
T60. Just want to see how the numbers rated out. I'd use my iPad, but Cody used it for the MMA show and didn't plug it back in. T to green minus. Oh, that's not good. He lost 4 strokes on approaches and gained 3.5 around the green. But we're back in his wheelhouse in terms of like the ranges that he likes, like short irons. Wedge fest Kevin Na. I don't know if I love that. I could see a top 10 play on it. Maybe I'll play it on DraftKings.
I'm looking at it. No,
I like Henley more.
Okay, I both of them have kind of caught my eye. Russell Knox do anything for you?
He does, yeah, but I don't like the 60-1. But this is a perfectly suited for him. I'll consider Russell Knox, but I don't want to invest too much pre-tournament in this. I want to keep the card kind of thin, and I already have in on 4 guys.
Okay, well, sort of sticking in that realm of type of guy. Teeing down, throwing the irons, Ryan Palmer?
No.
I mean, I never bet the guy.
No thanks. No thanks on Ryan Palmer. I mean, Ryan Palmer is, what is he at?
Oh, I have a sneaky one.
What's Ryan Palmer's number?
90?
90? Like, you're getting better guys in the hundreds. Like, Trey Mullenix is a better bet than Ryan Palmer.
Do you know who I'm betting at 125-1?
Is it Corey Connors? Because I'm in on him.
No, but look to his left.
Kyle Stanley?
No, look below Kyle Stanley then.
Kevin Streelman?
I really suck.
Dylon Fratelli?
Yeah.
Why?
You tell me.
I have nothing.
I don't know. I think he's a nice little win player.
Shouldn't we be targeting him at courses where you can really use a driver?
What does it matter about the driver?
Isn't that his advantage? Hitting a driver?
I don't know. I think he could play fine here.
Okay.
If it gets ugly. I mean, you're banking. Put it this way: like if the weather stays pristine and you bet Brandon Grace, you're screwed.
Yes, I agree.
You are screwed. What does your boy Graham McDowell pay?
He's only
Is
100.
he even in the field?
Yeah, he's 110-1. That's not doing it for him. He's coming over from the Middle East too, I think, or he just hasn't played all year. One of the two. So Corey Connors, just long shots.
Why haven't we mentioned Snedeker?
Do you want to mention Snedeker? Are you going to bet Snedeker?
No,
Neither am I.
but he might fit what happens here. Your
Of course,
driver's
he's won this tournament
mitigated and
twice. Yeah, like
50-1. I don't know.
I'm not betting it. You're not betting it, so I don't see a reason to bring it up. You want to mention Scott Piercy too?
No. I don't want to mention Scott Piercy. Kevin Kisner I can mention, but I don't think he's just been playing abysmal, right?
He made the cut last week. It's fine. I'm not betting him.
So you're pretty much just playing the top in like super bombs?
Yeah. And then I'll probably make a wager or two in play. Like I said, I'm really dialing back exposure this week. I'm not playing any first round leaders at this course or at these 3 courses. I might play some top 20s on some of these longer shots, but Corey Connors as a long shot is one that I like at 125. Very good with a wedge in his hand. I mentioned Ben Silverman. He's 400-1. Just if you can get one of these guys in contention come Sunday, then the hedge equity is huge, and just do it with play the each way with the top 5 and play a top 20, and you're looking really good for the week if one comes in. The only other one that I went in on, I think he's 200-1. Yeah, Scott Stallings, who's just been playing a lot better, and I saw a sick workout video of him. He might get busted for PEDs again, but he always putts well on POA.
VJ's here talking about workout vids.
Yeah, VJ. I mean, did you see Scott Stallings is more impressive than the VJ one. Svensson, Team Canada. If I'm going with Silver, I might pair him up with Svensson. Svensson's playing well. He's an accurate player. He's 225-1. These are probably better top 20 bets if you're going to go for it. And there's the one guy that we have to talk about because he's in the field.
Mike Weir?
Ho Sung Choi.
Oh.
250-1. Recently won in Japan. Any interest? They got to get him on TV, right? Pair him up with Bill Murray, although he's probably playing with Da points.
He might have a more of a high profile pairing than you would think.
Ho Sung? If people don't know who Ho-Sung Choi is, just like Google him and just watch his swing and his antics on the course. If you thought Matthew Wolff was one thing, wait for Ho-Sung.
What about Sung Kang, so long as his caddy brings the proper attire?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wasn't he the guy like in the lead, didn't have like rain gear?
Here?
No, like 2 years ago somewhere. It was like
I think it was this course
Oh.
because he was in the mix at this tournament before.
It was like pouring rain. He didn't have any rain gear. He's getting like soaked.
I remember I think he shot like a Saturday 61 at Pebble Beach 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something. That was like the first time we had ever heard of Sung Kang. No, I have no interest in Sung Kang.
Just a couple guys have been playing well, maybe for like DraftKings. I wouldn't see myself betting them, but like a Bazzelli.
Pass.
And hey,
The Gooch? Going back to the Gooch?
Do you know where I wasn't a part of anywhere near last week?
Damon?
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. Damon and Gooch were pretty clear.
Why were
fades.
people so like shocked when all of a sudden he didn't make 7 strokes putting?
I don't know. It was weird. Because the ball striking is always so good with him that you think that carries over. But if he has it down, that's a problem with a lot of these like back end guys that are like even someone like Corey Connors. Like the ball striking is usually pretty good, and he sucks at putting. If one aspect of the driving or irons is off, he is absolute toast.
Was it you last week? You were bigging up Ernie, Big Earn?
Yeah, Big Earn's in the field.
200 or 175?
175.
And I saw you had some nice things to say about Grayson Murray recently.
Yeah, where is I
225.
225? That is something I can get in on. 225 on Grayson? Yeah, thank you for bringing him to my attention. I think I like him more next week at Riviera.
Pat Perez.
Pat Perez on the 7th hole has the best score of anyone in the field. Him and Nick Watney.
I was going to just say.
So you just want to bet you want to go in on everyone.
No, I'm just trying to gauge your opinion on this entire back part because I do agree. The guy like in the middle, the guy in the middle of the card that I like is Sung JM. I feel like I've already been I've been baited into betting him. I feel like I'm not getting any. I feel like my number's wrong. And the other guy kind of like, to your point, I feel the number's short on is Knox. Like I need like more points.
I think it comes down to Knox versus Henley for me, and I made a stand with Henley. Yeah, you got to take the American
I might
over the
also have
international.
nothing inside 30. I might have just have nothing, period. Sung JM.
That's it? Your only bet of the week? Bet Spieth. Have some fun.
You did make a good case, and I did sort of back you up with many of my own points.
Like it's funny because like you said, like play the numbers, that kind of thing. Spieth and Phil do not fit any trends or numbers. Just it's my observation on them that I think they can play really well.
No,
here.
but I could get behind betting Spieth based on what I saw from Torrey and just knowing how hard he's probably working. And like I said, like it's literally
he seems close.
Like, yeah, the fix is like an inch away. And for all these guys, like they're all so good. Like, the fix is so small away, but it's a big difference if again, the key is the birdies that he's making. As long as you're making birdies, I believe the ugly stuff when you're that good as Jordan, you clean up. And the birdies remain and the uglies cleaned. And then you're at the top of the leaderboard.
To tie this all back together, Ricky is still doing these Phil things. And he's winning the same way Phil used to. He's still making these giant numbers. But he's making so many birdies it doesn't matter. But he's got to clean that up. Can't be having those really weird
When you
colors on
make
them.
the putts that Ricky made this week, you could almost do anything.
Sure, but that's not going to continue.
I understand. That is not wow. The putt on 3 for par, the putt for the 7.
He got a bad break too, in fairness.
Yes, it might have been really short-sighted of him to drop it there. I guess in revisionist history, it's easy to say just go back to where he originally hit that ball. And then on 18, where he doesn't like hit it wide enough to be no part of the water or the church pews, it also really triggered me. Triggered me, Pat.
You were very triggered about Ricky. He won and you got triggered. You're like,
No, I was good. My hole, it was fine.
You're like cussed.
No, stop. The highlight of my Super Bowl was Gostkowski's missing the kick to start.
the
Other than that, the game sucked.
The
so
highlight of
much
my
to
Super
me.
Bowl was I waited to the very end to bet the Rams and to bet the money line, and I went to go bet it. I looked on 365 and I looked on Bodog, and it was plus 110 money line on Bet 365, and it was plus 125 on Bodog, and then Bodog fritzed out 30 minutes before the Super Bowl started.
Yeah,
so I never ended up betting. I was like, whew, that's lucky.
I have hit the Waste Management winner 3 of the last 4 years.
And lost the Super Bowl every year.
Every year, I still did pretty good.
Yeah, you take the 22-1 over the plus 110.
No, it was good. It was a hard 22-1.
Picks for the week. Oh, I should let everyone know. I just got a note that the DraftKings office is closed today. I don't know why. Is there a holiday in America that I'm not unaware of?
The day after the Super Bowl?
Day after the Super Bowl day? I guess so. The Listener League link, I guess I should probably redo this at the very top and tell people, but it might not be up until later tonight in the feed.
We're going to steal your downloads, people.
Yeah, stealing your downloads.
And then you're going to have to come back again, and we're going to get another view. Boom.
Eat it. Picks for the week.
They might think you're doing that on purpose.
I'm not, actually. I just got a text message. Picks for me. Spieth 22, Phil 25. I'm waiting for that number to drift. I did bet half of what I had allocated to Phil at the 25. So those two. Sung J M at 50, Russell Henley at 80 with the each way. Then I took a shot down the card just to have some guys in the mix. Connors, Stallings, Silverman.
Murray.
I didn't bet Murray.
Oh.
And Freddie Yak, 600-1.
Sun JM is the only thing I am in on. I'm very hesitant with anything 30 or below. I guess I could have asked this earlier. When's the last time what's Casey been up to?
He played Sony and missed the cut. He played okay at Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, wouldn't want to touch him anyway. Of those guys in the very beginning, though, I'm intrigued by Fleetwood. I don't care. He's never played here before. We've seen him show up all over PGA Tour.
And not win.
But it wasn't because it was his first time at any of these places. I really like your Henley at 80, and I'm gonna sucker myself into Kevin Na.
I want to do some more digging into Kevin Na to see how healthy he really is. Those numbers I looked up from Phoenix last week do not inspire confidence.
Why would anyone play?
What's that? Kevin Na withdrew. There we go. Live update.
The next words out of my mouth would be, why on earth would anyone be playing 2 weeks in a row if they're not healthy? Okay.
At least it was good on him to withdraw before the tournament started this time.
At least it was good on him to withdraw while we were recording.
This is true. So we don't look like idiots. Grace, if I'm going to keep an eye on the weather, I could see a play on Grace. Like I mentioned before, if you want to play a Grace Snedeker card, I don't hate that. And just hope that the conditions get awful. But again, if conditions get awful, these 300-1 guys are in play at this course. Who can be this year's Von Taylor, Jeff? Maybe Svensson?
I'm not sure. Bill Haas.
He withdrew as well.
Oh. He's about as good as Von Taylor is these days.
Yeah. One and done selections for the week. I believe I won last week. Your guy missed the cut. My guy came in fourth.
So I was very right on the money to try to talk as many people out of the Hideki strategy. Even though people came back and forth, I do agree. Unlike, say a DFS GPP, the amount of people taking the guy in one and done, because in the end you got to get to 8, 9, 10.
But this way,
wins.
if he wins and you don't have him, you're behind the 8 ball.
No, I understand that. That's obvious. But in the end, you need to get to that 9 wins number anyway.
Someone has 3 already.
So how you get there, choose your own adventure. That being said, I do stand by playing those guys is like playing defense. Mm-hmm. I felt I was right. I picked the loser who missed the cut. There was an opportunity to take advantage of all the Hideki goers last week. And because Hideki didn't win, and it was kind of like a forgettable week, even though you mentioned he played fine, I look forward to seeing him again and betting him again. Mm-hmm. At a number that isn't what it was last week. It won't be the 60s that we got at Torrey.
It'll be 28.
But throw me back in that mid-30s range for Hideki, because I'm excited for that. I was long-winded, but for the first time, you get to go first.
I'm picking Phil.
Okay.
I think that, I mean, I have the 2 teams in the one and done, so the Phil will be the team I enter for the show picks. I tend to make a decision later on in the week for the other ones. I think that Day is a really good one and done. I just don't think anyone's going to take him. I mean, the guy's 9-1 to win this tournament. That if he's the forgotten elite, which he might be, maybe he's not. Maybe people love Jason Day this week, but I have a feeling that people will be heavy on Dustin Johnson just because he does well here every year. If there's people like to save some of the big guys for the majors, but if you can cash $1.3 million, you go for it, don't you?
Like,
But people don't.
That
Don't do that. They want to save him because he could win $2 million here.
Always, I agree with you. Unless your guy essentially finishes in like the top 8,
the top 3,
you didn't lose ground on like anything that isn't replaceable. Like, you're not able to make up like that. The difference between a guy winning like 84K and like 44K is literally
even the difference
less
between a guy,
than nothing.
even a guy who wins like 200
and you make
200K
20,
yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
It
because if your guy wins, you make up $1 million on everyone.
Yeah.
So, Phil, for me, who is it for you? Sungjae? Why not?
No, because
it's the only guy that you bet.
It is, and I always do
Kevin
like
Na?
going to the top. I might try. I'm going to snake you here, Jordan Spieth.
Okay. Listen, I'll be very happy if you win this one.
Because you. Well, at first, like I like to gloss over, you kind of put a couple things into perspective that I'm able to then input some reality into. And then I think that makes a lot of sense. Although Dustin could be tricky, as you know, because people just want to save him for when it's the U.S. Open. But you got to get it. If you're going to use Dustin, like if someone's saying this, like, I'm using Dustin at the U.S. Open, maybe just use him this week.
Maybe, yeah.
Like take your 1.3.
And then you can use Tyrrell Hatton at the U.S. Open and win all the money.
Or Ricky Fowler.
So now Ricky's going to win the U.S. Open, is he?
Yeah, not the Masters like people are telling you. I'll say the U.S. Open.
Has he ever played Pebble? I don't feel like he ever plays because he always plays Phoenix.
And he always plays Torrey.
So we never see him here.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an advantage to play it this year to see what the conditions are like, to see how they're doing it? Or do you think it's just best not to pay attention?
Most guys, like the early onset, made it seem like it would be a disadvantage. That they'll be seeing it as a completely different entity. And the wind changes every hole anyway, from Thursday to Friday.
Just to see where like how small the fairways are in comparison to what they normally are.
Or to your point, they have some of the smallest greens on tour. So just to be able to know, I don't know.
Here's where I miss.
Or to literally feel how far you have behind those pins before you get to an ugly runoff. I
feel like that happened to Dustin last year on some of those par 3s. He had a bit too much juice in the irons.
That ended quickly. The famous Pebble par 3 put it in the freaking... He took out a penalty like right out of the gate.
And Potter was dialed in on Sunday.
I think Potter birdied the par 3 DJ took a penalty on.
Yeah, because he chipped it in from the back of the green.
Well, yeah, and it just felt like right there.
But like Potter was legit. Like he went and won that tournament last year. And no one gagged. He went out and won. It was really bizarre.
Rhino Hainzer.
Your buddy. That'll do it. If you want Cuss pick, you can check out his Twitter.
And next, I look forward to a normal event and Riviera again next week.
That's why I'm dialing back exposure to this one. Like, I don't like the 3-course setup. I don't like watching this event. I'll be kind of tuned out. Hopefully, Spieth just wins and I win money.
It's like career. It's like just
fancy. It's fancy career builder.
Career builder's like when you're ghetto and you stay like off the strip in Vegas, but Pebble's like when you're staying at
the Bellagio.
Like the Bellagio. It's the same nonsense.
That'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Apologize again for no listener link being up right away. That will get back in to the show at some point. So keep refreshing and coming back. If not, just check the video because it'll be for sure updated.
So you're gonna have to hit me and Paul with our early. It's gonna be a free for all even for the VIPs this week.
Fortunately, there's 3,000 people, 3,000 entries, so no one's really in danger of missing out.
Yeah.
I expect it to fill by Wednesday though. So.
Of course.
So go and get your spot in the Pat Mayo Experience Open. Follow Geoff on Twitter at GFienberg17. Follow me at the PME on Twitter, Instagram. My betting cheat sheet will be up on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thepme later on in the week. And that link will be up for the Pat Mayo Experience Open and become a member at Fantasy National. We're up over 100K over the last month between the members. We still haven't crushed that big one yet. I feel like it's coming. Maybe not this week because this tournament's stupid. Maybe next week at Riviera. But hey, maybe someone goes out and lights it up. Maybe Spieth can get us some winners too. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!